Welcome, 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 welcome to the second day of our ADTA 56th Annual Conference. Happy Friday. It's Friday, right? So my name is Laura Wilson. I am the Continuing Education Manager for the ADTA, and I'm just going to provide a few housekeeping details while we get settled. We are going to be watching historic film today that was done in the late 70s, early 80s in its original format with all the crackles and the visual textures. So in order to make sure you can hear it as best as possible, I encourage you to, when the film starts, to turn the volume up on your own device. And you may want to put in headphones because that can centralize the sound so you can hear that a little more focused. With that, I would like to now introduce the president of the Marian Chace Foundation, Jane Wilson Cathcart, and bring her to the Zoom microphone.
Welcome to the 32nd Annual Marian Chace Foundation Lecture, a joint project of the Marian Chace Foundation and the American Dance Therapy Association. This year's lecture is a presentation of the ADTA film, Dance Therapy, The Power of Movement, which showcases actual clinical work. It will be immediately followed by a panel with some of those who were involved in the making of the film. The panel will be moderated by Dr. Jacelyn Biondo. Dr. Biondo is a multiple Marian Chace Foundation grantee for her research and archival work. And now, please join me as we watch Dance Therapy, The Power of Movement, a film by Norris Brock. Thank you.
From the beginning of life, even before there are words, there is movement. In our first relationship, it is movement and touch which create a bond. The baby's body speaks its needs. The mother's body answers. Our first language is a body language of movement and touch. It is a primary form of expression and communication which puts us in touch with ourselves and with others. By moving out into the world, we're able to explore its limits and its possibilities. We discover the joy and challenge of independence. The language of movement has become the basis for a widely used form of therapy built on the power of movement. It's called dance therapy. Growing up doesn't mean outgrowing the ability or the need to discover things through movement. Pamela is a healthy, achieving young woman who has been in dance therapy for some time, using movement as a process of self-exploration. Pamela has learned to pay attention to her inner self by following the rhythms of her body. In this therapy session, she has no plan of movement, but follows her impulses and moves spontaneously. Dance therapist Joan Chaudharo works with individuals who want to connect to their inner resources in order to know more about themselves.
An essential part of my work is to watch and respond. I am guided by Pamela's movements and by my own body experience, as well as by our shared reflection. As the movement develops, a theme emerges of Pamela feeling an invasion of her space. As we talk, we find that her movements express a primary theme in her life, as well as in the therapeutic relationship. Pamela longs for intimacy and support, but at the same time is fearful of being invaded. Like many young adults, she is experiencing the struggle between her need for dependence and independence. In our discussion, Pamela is reminded of a recent dream. I suggest that she work on one particular image from her dream to discover its meaning.
Rising and sinking with the image of a male figure, and let yourself move into being above him and what that's like, and let yourself reverse the process and move into being so close to the ground that there's nothing to do but look up to him, and work back and forth with being above him and being beneath him until you find some kind of relationship to him that feels right.
Pamela stays with the image from her dream and begins to work on the theme of being below and being above. On the ground, she remembers being a little girl, teasing for attention, giggling with delight when she got what she wanted. Pouting when she didn't. As she rises above, she experiences the sensation of starting to grow and grow, of becoming bigger than herself. Her movements are cold and controlling. The movement process is leading Pamela to recover certain experiences and repressed energies so that they can enter her conscious life. In moving through her dream image of being above and being below, by exploring the ground and rising, Pamela has discovered many inner opposites: strength and weakness, seduction and scorn, superiority and insignificance. All of these feelings come together in the image of a bright, beautiful diamond that is at the same time a dusty, worthless lump of coal. By bringing out the coal, she is able to find the diamond. As she discovers and integrates the disowned parts of herself, she begins to find that which is of ultimate value, a sense of her own wholeness. Pamela now finds herself in a firmer place, standing on her own 2 feet, in touch with both her strength and vulnerability.
Dance therapy bridges the conscious and the unconscious. Pamela has been able to reach a deeper understanding of her own feelings through the exploration of movement and words. Even when words fail and the possibility of connection seems remote, movement can communicate and begin the process of therapy. On this day, in a children's psychiatric center, this child chooses to wear a costume. But dance therapist Jane Downs works to find the person underneath. The child begins by looking for herself in the costume and in the mirror. In the background, Jane echoes the child's movements, and through the reflection of her actions, she enters the child's rhythmic world and establishes a connection. The therapy session progresses as Jane and the child cooperate in a parallel dance in which they move together side by side. As a bond forms, their dance grows in intensity. They begin to move in synchrony. The movement develops and the connection becomes stronger. Now they are cooperating face to face, working together, communicating and responding to each other. Movement is the solid base for the relationship.
Oh, my nosy. Oh, my footsie. Oh, my tootsie. Oh, my tootsie roll.
The relationship progresses so that Jane and the child can now be together in a rhythmic closeness which allows them to touch and to talk, leading to a free association of movement and words. Taking her cues from the child, Jane develops the rocking into a peekaboo game in which the child shows her delight as she is discovered and rediscovered. Now the child's movements clearly express her need for nurturing, which she cannot express in words. Jane understands and responds.
Is it drinking?
Just as a baby learns to walk with a helping hand, this child moves toward independence with the help of the trained dance therapist. Movement is the language which connects them. People don't lose the need to move and touch as they grow older. In this nursing home, dance therapist Susan Sandell uses music to lead patients confined to wheelchairs in a dance of greeting.
Let's reach out as if we're reaching for something. Hello there. Hello there.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. Reach out.
The dance therapist begins by having members of the group extend themselves, reach out, look at each other, and voice their hellos. As they shake hands and acknowledge each other, a circle is formed and connections are made around it.
Hello. Jimmy. Hello. 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 Say hello to the people on either side of you.
Jimmy? Well, I love you. Been loving you a long time. Oh, you too. God bless you.
Even with limited body movement, there are many possibilities for interaction. Simple actions express personality and break the barriers between people so that they can come face to face to discover each other.
You try it with the general, Dean?
Oh, you sweetheart.
You try it with
It's a nice goodbye.
Susan uses the language of movement to overcome the confines of age and infirmity.
a little massage, eh? Did you try it?
Yeah.
Jimmy and Lillian?
Jimmy and I.
Did you try a little press? Pass it around.
The session began with a circle of greetings and movements which revitalized each person. Isolation gave way to community, and now the session ends with the same common experience. The spark of touch catches around the circle, and movement carries the word.
Sit around, Jean.
I did.
Okay, pass it to me.
Okie doke.
I got it. I got it. It went all the way around.
Okie doke.
I got it too.
Pass it on.
Dance therapy has overcome the limitations of age and physical incapacity and brought comfort and communication through movement and touch. The power of movement can be demonstrated even within the confines of the prison unit of a psychiatric hospital. Here, dance therapist Barbara Estrin leads a group of men with the purpose of experiencing a sense of inner control and group trust through movement.
That's a hard one. See if you can try it again. Can you get that balance? Nice.
Dance therapy provides a way for different moods and feelings to be expressed, and also provides a structure which allows for the expression of feelings without losing control. The dance therapist helps the men to develop control initially on a body level. By using simple, repetitive action, the therapist builds a structure of movement which allows safe self-expression. Group movement depends on cooperation, and so the individual becomes aware of and sensitive to the rhythms and movements of others in the group. The therapist's support leads them to work together. Barbara structures the dance in response to what the men say in their movements and words. Moving together gives a reassurance of being among others in a safe way. Each man is gradually able to take the risk of being himself, and thereby opening himself to being vulnerable. The dance has permitted a release of tension. Within the form of the dance, each man has discovered the comfort of recognition and the ease of letting go.
What? Like an elephant.
By the time the session is finished, the men have experienced a fuller sense of themselves as individuals, as well as members of the group. Through dance therapy, the beginnings of trust, self-control, and respect have evolved over time within each man and the group as a whole. All growth and change takes time, and so therapy progresses in time following natural rhythms. In this psychiatric hospital, this dance therapy group is shown over a period of weeks. Through the sessions, these women will come to know themselves and each other and become better able to express outside what they feel inside. The dance therapist uses music to provide structure, to clarify feelings, and build group identity through shared movement. Dance therapist Sharon Chaklin guides each member of the group to become aware of her own body in space and how she relates to others.
My role as therapist is to be aware and responsive to the many different concerns of each member of the group. Linda feels remote from the group. Initially, she keeps on the edge of the circle, but as the group moves in a rhythmic way, she is drawn to the center as a way of being part of the group and yet distinct. In order to help Linda connect more directly to the group, I suggest the image of a flower with its separate but integral center. The movement allows Linda to be with the others without giving up her sense of self. To stand on one's own 2 feet is a verbal expression of self-confidence that can be felt in the body.
What word goes with that when you have your feet well on the ground?
A sense of individuality is an experience taken for granted once it is acquired.
I mean it.
Yeah. Me, ego.
However, for some it is still to be learned. Feet may not feel connected to the legs and body, and the ground may not be experienced as supportive. The use of purposeful movement helps to develop this crucial sense of identity.
Okay, we don't stamp it, we get it well into the mouth. You just say, you know, yeah.
Sally wants to express herself, but feels locked in and unable to get out.
Don't let something turn everything off. And it stays that way.
What does that feel like?
It's funny. I don't know, man. I feel like my mouth is closed and the back of my tongue.
A basic purpose of therapy is to enable the positive changes people wish for themselves. Sometimes this process can be intense and difficult, but at other times, self-knowledge can come from spontaneity and play, and important learning can come from joyful experience. As each experiences through her movement a sense of self, she is able to freely join the others in a shared dance of togetherness. The synchrony of the movement both expresses and adds to the sense of closeness of the group members.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
As people become more comfortable with each other, the emerging intimacy permits me to focus on more difficult feelings.
Even if you're not angry now, just see if you can get some of that anger. How do you get rid of the feeling of the tightness in you without having to bite everybody's head off with it? Is that an reaction? Is that an anger? It's the release of pent-up energy.
Linda attempts to express her anger, but the group perceives her shouts as inauthentic. I encourage Linda to use movement to help crystallize her feelings. The feeling of anger takes on a reality for Linda. The clarity of her movement reflects her clearer sense of self.
Okay, good. Get on your way. Now that one, you all heard it now. Did I make it right? Yeah. Yeah, it makes me angry standing here. I don't believe anything really angry.
As Linda's feelings are brought into focus, she's able to connect with the anger she feels toward one of the group members with whom she'd had serious disagreements. While Linda berates Alice, I stand symbolically between them as mediator and protector.
Well, I can't know yours, and I just expressed mine. You stepped all over my face.
Anger is communicated openly, risking Alice's response. But anger is one of the most difficult feelings for most people to accept from others or to express themselves. Opening ourselves to others, we become vulnerable to the pain they can inflict. This group has been struggling to avoid the destruction which anger might bring. Linda's anger focuses on me as she moves to face me in opposition. She has had to acknowledge her own feelings and realize her impact on others. I structure the movement for release of tension so that the group can come to some resolution before parting.
Hold on, not especially. Feel the person next to you really holding you.
We pulled through the crisis in a way that allowed each person to maintain dignity and integrity. The group has not only survived, but has been strengthened by meeting the challenge.
Okay, then move your body and let your arms. Yeah.
that if things are moving by themselves, all disconnected to the rest of you, that's what it feels like, is disconnected. So how do you feel connected again? How do you put yourself back together?
By focusing on the wholeness of self, I hope to enable Alice to express the strong feelings she is struggling to hold back.
Language talks about... Okay, let's just get the legs well under us. So that you feel the ground and the earth under you that supports you. So you feel steady and sure. Yeah.
Closer touch communicates to Alice that I am aware of her struggle and encourages her not to keep her feelings closed within. As we lift our arms and breathe more deeply, Alice begins to release the feelings so close to the surface.
Is there a way of being able to both give and allow some comfort? Is there something we can do to give a little comfort right now? Oh, I wish I could. No, I don't wish I could. That's the predicament, isn't it? Yeah.
Supported by the group, Alice is able to express her grief about the departure of her close friend.
Marian and Winnie. They're here now. I think when you're feeling alone, it's not always useful to be alone. You want to give her something, Winnie? Well, that's your favorite shopping partner, isn't it? I know that.
The acknowledgement of Alice's feelings allows each to experience in some way the separations and losses in her own life, while Alice allows herself to accept the support and comfort of the group members.
Okay, is it possible to give something? Winnie, can you give someone something now?
The spontaneous giving of comfort to Alice develops into a theme of giving that extends to all. Each person has been part of a shared experience and has become aware that her own presence makes a difference. Each is able to share both giving and receiving of warmth and caring.
Fingers.
Dance therapy is about being comfortable with one's body, one's self. It is a way to creatively express a range of feelings, conflicts, needs, and ideas, and to share these with others. There is pleasure in moving, and dance gives form and structure to all that is within each of us, waiting for expression.
Can you take something and really toss it?
What are you tossing?
What are you tossing?
Guilt and anxiety. You are tossing them away.
All right. I'd be glad to toss away guilt
And anxiety.
anxiety. Anyone want to join us? You stamping it into the ground? All that weight, Lois. Okay, here we got right in the center. One big center.
Dance therapy uses the energy and eloquence of the body to help understand feelings and to foster growth and change. Just as a baby first explores the world through movement, we each continue to make use of movement for self-awareness and communication.
Turn the center. Okay, which way we go?
Stable.
A stable center. Okay, hold on so it's there. Even if
The vitality of life itself is expressed in dance therapy through the power of movement.
Hi, everyone. So just take a moment to allow that to resonate with you. Every time I watch The Power of Movement, I'm really viscerally struck by the qualities of film, right? The crackling of the audio that Laura had mentioned, the kind of haze of a little bit of out of focus of some of the film, and the glitches that are just so honest, in my opinion. As a photographer and videographer who worked with film and continues to work with film, I have these memories of these little tools to literally cut film with, and the care with which you have to hold it. And it just reminds me of the beauty of history and how important that is in our work as filmmakers, as photographers, as dancers, as dance therapists. And so I invite you to hold on to those images as we move into this conversation. I'm honored and humbled to be here and moderate this panel, and delighted to introduce our panelists. So I'd like to first introduce Judith Bunny, who is the conceiver and co-executive producer of The Power of Movement. And I would like to next invite Dr. Diane Duggan, who is also a co-executive producer of the film. I'd like to next welcome Sharon Chaplin, who I'm sure you all know and love, and is one of the dance therapists that you saw in the film. And our final panelist for today is Jane Wilson Cathcart, another dance therapist that you saw in the film. I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you so much. I invite the panelists to unmute yourselves so that we can engage in a little bit of a conversation. Hi.
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 So I'd like to start with the actual film and the making of the film itself. So perhaps Judith and Diane, this will be geared towards you. And my question is, what were your inspirations and intentions when creating the film? And what were you hoping to capture through the making of The Power of Movement?
Well, that's a very good question, Jacelyn. I'm filled with nostalgia. I mean, this is more than 40 years ago, and it was several years of our lives to put this film together in that era. I became president after 10 years of dance therapy, the American Dance Therapy Association. And the credentialing processes were in place, and the organization was sound. And what we were looking for was outreach to the greater community, recognition, acceptance. And we had started a symposium with government agencies. And at that symposium, Dr. Bertram Brown, who is a musician and also a friend of both Sharon Chaplin and my family, and he decided to convene at the Rockefeller Fund various foundation heads to see if they could give us a grant we had in the back of our minds a film, but it wasn't very clear at that time. So Mimi Berger, Rebecca Bennett, and myself attended this symposium at the very fancy Rockefeller Foundation. Actually, it was the fund. And there were about 10 foundation heads there. And we presented the Looking for Me, the Janet Adler film. So we went around the table afterwards and they concluded, oh, this is fine for children. And it was very clear we needed to open up the vision of dance therapy for many, many populations. So we went to the, I went to the National Association for Mental Illness, NAMI, their annual festival. And I met the director of the Idelson Foundation, and it was the end of their funding process. Whereas the people at the Rockefeller Fund, we went around the table and it was, oh, our charter is for arts, you don't fit. Others, our charter is for health, you don't fit. I mean, we're a hybrid. And so they had an excuse to opt out. So I met the director of the Idelson Foundation, and he was at the end of his funding era. So he said, if you send a grant soon, perhaps by the end of the year, we can look at giving you a grant. So I quickly conjured up a plan, sent it to him, and within 24 hours of acceptance, we got a check for $35,000. So this was an ADTA production. I need to stress that. And Diane was very much involved as the communications chair. So maybe she has some more comments, because it was in the zeitgeist that we needed to make a film for the association, for the profession. And we made it in 28 and a half minutes so that we could put it on television and maybe convince the public that this was a worthy thing that people in their family who needed some help and care could benefit from. So I want to pass it on to Diane, because
thank you, Judith. Thank you, Judith. Yes. Well, I was the communications chair on the board, and I felt that we needed something to represent the depth and the breadth of dance therapy. It looks different depending on who you're working with. And as Judith says, we were getting stereotyped as only working with children. I had written a pretty extensive brochure with all the different applications with my committee. And I made a very low-tech slideshow where I met Barbara Estrin, who is the one who was working in the forensic psychiatric unit. When Judith got the money, and kudos to you, Judith, your administrative skills are just really wonderful. We were able to make a film because you can't, really put across what we do with words, especially for people who don't know. I want to make a short, comments about working with Norris Brock.
Oh my
He had
goodness.
done Looking for Me. I solicited work samples from 3 different directors, but he was clearly the leader. His sensitivity to movement. One of the joys of working on the film was going to his home studio in Pittsburgh, and we would sit there and look at the footage and decide what we wanted. And it was like he was feeling the pulse of the movement, and bam, what Jacelyn described is that little guillotine, it's called, on the editing table. This is physical stuff, it's not digital. He just had such sensitivity, cut it right at the right place. And you see in the film also the intimacy that's created with you feel like you know these people, except in the forensic unit, where you notice that he kind of kept his distance. And when we spoke to him about it, he said that yes, he had filmed strikes of unionized workers in Europe, and he knew that when there was danger that he just felt that. Nobody told him that, but he felt that you keep your distance and you keep your respect. So he was a phenomenal director.
It was astonishing to work with him. His sensitivity Diane and I would look at each other when we were seeing the footage and saying, how did he know to focus on this person who was about to weep, but holding it in?
There.
It was
That's
so
right. He was
creative.
there. And he was there with Sharon and Jane. So let's hear from them about what that was like.
Let me just remind you about talking about our narrator.
Yes,
Okay. Yes.
we are gonna get to that.
Yes.
We can shift into that very quickly, because those of you that noticed, the narrator on the film is Christopher Reeve. And so did somebody want to speak to how that came about?
I can speak to that, because we were striking all kinds of balance in finding a narrator. We were looking for a prominent dancer, and people were turning us down. They weren't agreeing. So I was at a National Committee for the Arts for the Handicapped of the Kennedy Center, which I was on the board of directors, at their annual awards meeting. And they were honoring Christopher Reeve, who was at that time Superman. And he came in a tuxedo, and there were children there, because the Kennedy family always had children in the optics, and they clamored all over him. And I just had an intuition, and I went up to him and I said, would you like to narrate a film for the American Dance Therapy Association? And he said, yes, but I have to go to London to film Superman 2. So it has to be within the next 2 weeks. And I said, oh, this is for the American Dance Therapy Association. It's not for the Kennedy Center honors. And he said, I said yes. So Diane and I had wonderful experience in the sound room in New York City, where he came in. I forced him to watch the film and before he narrated it. So he actually saw the film twice, and we prepped him on the proper pronunciation of the names, but he was a fabulous, fabulous addition.
So I want to shift gears just a little bit, because I'm aware of the fact that many of us have seen The Power of Movement previously, a lot of us in our education to become dance movement therapists, but I feel like there's a whole generation of folks that haven't gotten to see it and got to experience it with us for the first time today. And I really want to make note of some of the clinical practice that happens. There was a moment that Joan Chodorow said, by bringing out the coal, she is able to find the diamond. And then similarly, in Sharon, your group, one of your participants said, yeah, it makes me angry standing here. And when she said that, I felt like I was right there receiving it, because it's something that happens so frequently in groups, in inpatient psych and otherwise places as well. I personally am a really big fan of tapping into and normalizing anger as a healthy emotion. And I know that this is intimidating to some people when they're in practice, because they don't know how to kind of step into it. And Sharon, you did this so beautifully with your group, and I'm hoping that you can just share a little bit about your experience of holding and exploring anger, as well as allowing yourself to become the object of anger.
Yes, anger is certainly one of the more difficult emotions to allow and also to receive, as I say in the film. So that I think going into it as a dance therapist, I am open to the possibilities that has to emerge at some point with somebody. And I'm ready for it each time by just being there and ready to, as I did in the film, mediate in the sense of protecting them at the same time as urging them onward. So it's a double thing to make sure that everybody's safe, but that it's not hidden anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this kind of double image of protecting and moving simultaneously. And I think that's how change happens. When we have a place of safety to step into, then we can access that. And do you have any words of wisdom or advice to clinicians around how to know when to challenge and push a little bit further?
You know, so much of this is the feeling level on oneself. It's not like I can say do this or that, but also it's knowing pretty much who that person is that you're working with. And I would not encourage it the first time around meeting somebody, but after a while knowing them a little better and being able to support their anger.
Yeah, thank you. And knowing that you all are practitioners and clinicians and have probably experienced this, is there anything anybody would like to add to the idea of holding space for an exploration of anger within the dance therapy process?
I think that Sharon's statement about protecting is really vitally important, and not doing it the first time out, because not only do you need to know them, they need to know you, and there needs to be trust.
I would say it's very important for the therapist to be grounded and fully present in the moment. I think back to Marian Chace, who worked with unmedicated patients and was never displaying fear or worry. She was very grounded and very much in the moment to receive.
I would add to that one has to be comfortable with one's own anger and have explored it. Because my experience is a lot of people see anger as a negative emotion, and there are no negative emotions. And I think sometimes there's an emphasis on the land of nicey nice and everything should be sweet and harmonious at the end. Okay, so I think that self path into your own range of emotions is important, so you know what gets induced long before you try to make it work in the room.
I'm going to lead this into my next question, Jane, which is for you and then others, of course. But in the work that we watched you do with the child, there was a very clear progression for me witnessing from you standing behind the child and just using your mirrored reflection as partnership, and then moving into a parallel play, and then into collaborative work, into nurturance, into spontaneous play. There was this trajectory that happened, and I would love for you to speak a little bit about that relationship and that journey that the two of you went on together.
That's what's wonderful about sharing your work. I never saw that. I never saw that progression until you pointed it out, Jacelyn. And when I look at it, I say, oh yeah, that makes total sense, but don't look for all those parts to happen in a session in that sequence. More importantly, by the time Norris came to film me, he had been at Susan Sandel's space with her seniors. He had exactly 9 minutes of film in the camera and said to me, cue me when something important is happening. And I like the giggles. And I said, you're on your own. I'm doing a therapy session. You're on your own. And it was a session, we hadn't seen each other in a while. It was a session that lasted for 70 minutes. And how, to speak to what everyone else experienced, how he knew where to go in was important. I would say that when the child says, go down, go down, go down, she was recreating a moment that had happened spontaneously prior to that and knew something important had happened, because as we were doing it, she looked at him, he came over, and she recreated it. So additionally, film is edited. It's not always what's there. There's a lot that's literally left on the floor, but that really worked. And yes, Jacelyn, in that, in the way that you outlined it, I think the most important piece in dance therapy and in that particular segment for me was the mirror, because we talk about mirroring people, but when we're mirroring people and their movement, they're seeing us. The use of the mirror had her seeing herself and being seen from behind. And that I think was important. And then, yes, pulling back, she made comments, which was that when we were doing this, that we were pulling up milk. So there was a lot of nurturance along with the feeding. And that when we pulled apart, we were pulling fire. So there were so many elements in this that were interesting. Plus, she used this film to introduce new staff and new children to her. She would say, let's show them my movie. So the therapeutic benefit of the film to an individual was enormous.
Right, as dance therapists, we don't have a tangible object, right? We don't have the art, the piece of art or the soundtrack or the music. We just have our body as vehicle, and it's in the moment. It's so here and now. And to have that bit of film for that child to say, look at our product, look at I exist, right? Thinking back to that motion that Sharon was doing, like me, I, right? And this sense of self, and how you were able to provide that with her on so many levels, Jane.
Yeah, and if I could say something, you spoke, Jacelyn, about the trajectory of that session, which we know was, it wasn't entirely filmed, it was edited. But for me, the most moving part is after that incredibly sensitive and delicate nurturance, you let her go. And that is so important, not to infantilize, to let people stand on their own 2 feet. That was, for me, very beautiful.
That was a recapitulation of the shape of the infant in the very first warm-up.
Right.
Those were the first steps of that little girl, who's probably in her mid-40s now. But also, Pamela demonstrated that stance. And in Sharon's recapitulation, standing on your own 2 feet. And I agree, Jane and the little girl stands on her own 2 feet and is able to move by herself. Fabulous.
So I'd like to think about sessions in general, and some of the sessions that we saw particularly. What was something that was striking to me is that we see a lot of these repetitive, very simple movements that happened in a lot of the sessions. And I think that as dance therapists, as newer dance therapists, as students, we often dream of these very grand thematic developments that happen where you go on these big adventures. And sometimes those happen and those are beautiful. However, the reality of a typical dance therapy session often looks different. And so I'm hoping that we can share some time exploring the power of simplicity that we witnessed in each of these sessions. And this is to any of you that would like to share.
Well, I think that the repetitive movements are something that becomes familiar to people and as it becomes familiar, they become more comfortable with themselves and in their body, which then allows them to do the expressive work that they might need to do. But until you feel comfortable, you cannot get to that point.
Like
Please,
a sense of mastery, right? Of mastery of the simplistic repetitiveness and familiarity that allows that kind of potential space for creativity to come in.
Right. Yes.
Well, I also think I started off working in Manhattan State Hospital with adults, and repetition was really needed because people were heavily medicated. They were operating at different time frames, so they had to be given a chance to enter the dance, try it on, own it, and it provided a very good opportunity for dance therapists to see the different hows, the different qualities that individuals in a group brought to that particular movement, so that you could then shape and move on and through to something that, as Marian Chace would say, was meaningful movement, not do. So repetition, yep. It wasn't compulsive, it was repetitive and helpful.
Well, it enhanced the group synchrony, which was one of Marian Chace's tenets as well, that we get into the familiar, very simple movements and join in with other people. It's enhancing the experience of being together yet separate and selfhood.
Yeah, it's that enables us to go more into depth. We're not thinking about what does this look like. It's how does this feel? That's what's important. And one of the questions you asked before is, have we seen dance therapy change? Well, I can speak to what this film shows that I think is still vitally important, and that's how we honor and we engage our participants, by picking up on their movements and developing the movements. And that repetition is a way for us to understand, for us to kind of get a taste of what it is and to develop it in a genuine way.
So I'm going to move again because I think it would be remiss of me not to note the amount of touch that happened in the film and in all of the sessions. And I'm thinking about the evolution of our world and how the allowance and accessibility of touch has shifted. So I'm looking both to how was it a tool for you in your sessions, and also how do we see it fitting into the culture of today's dance therapy?
Now, it's a sad loss that it becomes so suspicious at this point in our lives. But the beginning of the film shows about touch and the baby, and as it continues, we all have a need for touch and being touched, and a way of communicating with each other through touch. So it comes through trust also. You know, I mean, when I touched, it was not just a touch, but it came out of what we were doing, and also the fact that I knew this person well enough that they knew they could be touched.
I think that's one of the shifts that has happened. This era, there were long-term hospitalizations. I think today it's short-term, in and out, so you don't have the luxury of developing those deep relationships where the trust is just built in over time. That's sad.
Yeah, I think when it comes to touch, for us as people who use movement interacting with other people, I always advise my students to think about, is this touch for me or is this for you? Because we all have our preferences in terms of proxemics, and we need to be very aware of that, because that influences how we interact with our clients. And when we're with our clients, that's what everything is to that end. So that's a question to ask yourself, if when in doubt, because to say no touch or yes always touch, they're untenable. People need to be touched.
That's a good point, Diane. Who is it for? It's an important thing to sift out.
I think that's a pretty great question to ask with every intervention, every word that's spoken, every movement that's provided in a session is who is this for? And always highlighting and focusing on the participants and the patients.
Yes,
Go ahead,
I
Jen.
do think one has to look at one's intentions, and I can't imagine working with that child now without the touch. I'm glad I'm as old as I am so that I lived then, so I could do that work that way.
It's good work. Beautiful work.
I'm mindful of the time, and I'm trying to kind of file through my brain to see which questions I want to ask first before the others, knowing that we won't get to them all, and knowing that the audience probably has dozens upon dozens upon dozens of questions for you as well. So just to kind of put in your ears that perhaps we can all get back together to finish the questions and to open up questions to the audience at some point. Today, we don't have space for it, but so moving into, I have two more questions that I'd love to get to. And one is for each of you as co-executive producers or as dance therapists in the film, Were there bits that got kind of guillotined and pushed aside that you were hoping that made it into, or experiences that you were hoping to see or would just like to share that didn't make the cut?
That's a very interesting question. That guillotine process that Diane and I participated in with Norris, it seemed like each cut we made the sequence better.
Yeah.
More, it was as if we had a beginning, a middle, and an end to each of these small sessions. Our initial thought was, they're just going to be a flash, and until we get to the long-term one with Sharon, that the other populations would just be very brief. But it turned out they were almost whole beginning, middle, and ends. Diane?
Well, I'm going to speak to something which is kind of the opposite of what you asked. A moment that I'm so glad is in there, in the forensic psychiatric unit, when they bare their throats. That is so moving. Here they are showing trust in an environment that is totally untrustworthy. But Barbara created that kind of trust with them. I thought that was beautiful. And as I remember, we had a review board to look at the film before we released it. And the folks were advocates for various mental illnesses, et cetera, that were represented in the film. And one of the people for not juvenile justice, criminal justice and forensic psychiatry wept when she saw that. That it was so moving, and that does not happen in that kind of setting, but yet it did. Yet she built that trust. So that was a moment I'm glad was in there.
Yeah, that whole forensic scene changed my world. I saw it and I was like, this is where I am meant to be. And it was really, really profound. I mean, it all was, but there was something about the stomping and that gentleman in those motorcycle boots. I thought, who let that man have motorcycle boots in a psych hospital? But that stomping was just so powerful for me. It resonated kind of internally for me.
Sharon, you were at the editing as well when we were doing
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
My favorite part in my film is the moment that they created the synchrony themselves of moving. Just after the bullfight thing, all of a sudden they did it themselves. I did not do that. And that's my favorite part, because that means something happened between them all that made that happen.
And Norris caught it.
Yes.
And Norris caught it. He was phenomenal, because you could have to, I have to say the people in the film were phenomenal, because this was in the summertime. It was hot and we could not put the air conditioner on for the noise it made. And they were willing to go through all this and sweat and be in this film because they wanted to help other people. That was their rationale. And so they made the commitment themselves, because we knew each other and trusted each other. As you spoke before about people coming in and out too quickly, so you don't have the time to establish the trust that involves. It was not only Norris, but there was also a sound person who also was very careful about getting the sound and not interfering.
Tara.
Yeah.
And Mary, the writer, she did a phenomenal job. Yeah.
It's intimate to be working one-on-one with someone. And Norris Brock was 6'5". His camera came out like this. There was a microphone boom. We had a female sound person, and he's a ninja.
Yes.
That was it. My favorite moment in my segment is the silliness and laughter going back down.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
So I just will very, very briefly ask if there's just a final thought about your process, your experience that you'd like to share as we wrap this section up. Judith, I'll start with you. I'll just kind of call you in.
Well, from its inception to its completion and introduction at an ADTA conference at Rye, New York, I mean, it was several years of creative activity. I want to say this is an ADTA project. The people who were the therapists chosen was selected by the board of directors and the filmmaker. We, as Diane said, she interviewed several people or introduced them. We chose Norris, thank goodness. I mean, he was so wonderful. It was a wonderful project and it was collaborative. I remember working so closely with Diane for many years in the editing process and getting the releases to the music, getting the patients to sign releases. It had to be negotiated at every step, and it was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Diane probably has more to say about that because she was very much active in much of the administrative work.
Well, actually, Judith, I have to bow to your administrative superpowers because you were the one who got the grant. You were the one who snagged Christopher Reeve, and you also dealt with the music companies so that they would give us the rights. For me, I have to say that I'm honored to be working with you all, and Sharon and Jane, Susan, Joan, Barbara, just phenomenal, beautiful clinical work. And I'm proud to be associated with this project.
Thank you, Diane.
Sharon or Jane, any final thoughts that you wanted to add in?
I'm kind of left speechless, actually, but it was a very important time for me making this film, and I when I signed the contract with each of them to participate, I gave them each a silver dollar in exchange for signing their signature, and anyway, it was very moving for me to be with such people and who gave themselves to us.
Thank you.
I was honored and I'm still honored and very humbled. Thank you.
Yeah. So I too feel very honored and humbled to be sitting on this panel with you all. This is a remarkable experience for me. And I want to thank you all so much and hope to continue this conversation and hope to continue these relationships that bridge the quality of our history and the historical wisdom that you all bring and how resonant it is with the present practice and how we can come together in these spaces of commonality is really something that I look forward to with you all. So before I pass this back to Jane, some of you know I am also the ADTA treasurer, and I would like to invite you all to pull out your virtual pocketbooks at this time and make a donation to the Marian Chace Foundation so that this work can continue. The significance of research and archival work and documentation is so, so important to our field. And so I invite you all to make a donation. The chat is open to give accolades to our beautiful and wonderful and intelligent panelists. And the donation button is in the chat box. It's very easy. You just click and you make a tax-deductible donation and we will do more work like this. With that, thank you all so much for participating. I pass the mic back to Jane Wilson Cathcart.
Thank you, Dr. Biondo and panelists for presenting these living archives today. And Dr. Biondo, in your other role as ADTA treasurer, the trustees, Sharon Chaplin, Ann Lone, Susan Kleinman, Lynn Koshland, and I present this check in the amount of $1,000 to the ADTA for the purpose of digitalizing, updating, and producing archival film projects.
Thank you so much. That is amazing. Thank you to Jane, to you, and to all the trustees. This is archiving this history is really dear to my heart right now. And so we welcome your donation. We appreciate your donation and we look forward to making this work and other work accessible to everybody in the ADTA and beyond. So thank you so much. It's so kind.
We are most happy and delighted to do this. We're able to fund projects such as these as well as grants due to your generosity. Please consider donating. No contribution is too small and none too large. Thank you all for attending this lecture, and we look forward to seeing you next year in Montreal.
Goodbye.